सर स्टार्ट करू शकतो सर.
Start a window.
येस सर. सर स्टार्ट करू शकतो सर.
Yes, sir. Let's stand for our motto songs today. We'll start with the motto song. So, start a window.
येस सर. सर स्टार्ट करू शकतो सर.
Yes, sir. Let's stand for our motto songs today. We'll start with the motto song.
यशस्वप्तेषु जागृति.
Start a window.
येस सर. सर स्टार्ट करू शकतो सर.
Yes, sir. Let's stand for our
यशस्वप्तेषु जागृति.
We'll start with the motto song.
यशस्वप्तेषु जागृति.
Start a window.
सर स्टार्ट करू शकतो सर.
Yes, sir. Let's stand for our
यशस्वप्तेषु जागृति.
We'll start with the motto song. Start a window.
सर स्टार्ट करू शकतो.
Let's stand for our Start a window.
सर स्टार्ट करू शकतो.
Let's stand for our
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the virtual seminar on bank branch audit, organized by the Vikasa Pimpri-Chinchwad branch of WIRC, jointly with Satara, Sangli, and Solapur Vikasa branches of WIRC of ICI. I would also like to thank the Vikasa committee members and our panelists, CA Weber Modi, CA Rushikesh Wangadi, CA Shreyash Saha, CA Shubham Nogaja, for organizing this seminar. Now, I would like to welcome CA Weber Modi, Vikasa Chairman, Vikasa Pimpri-Chinchwad branch of WIRC, to address our audience.
Good morning, everyone. We on behalf of Vikasa Pimpri-Chinchwad branch, Vikasa Satara branch, Vikasa Sangli branch, and Vikasa Solapur branch have arranged our today's session on bank branch audit, especially for the students. As we are saying, April month is full of bank branch audit. Everyone will be busy in the first week itself doing bank branch audit with principals and students. But as the year ends, we get very short time to arrange for doing any planning or any preparation for the bank branch. Even the principals are busy in 31st March year ending closing, and within a short day of 1 or 2 days, they have to plan where people have to send it, who has to send, and without any planning of how what student has to do, whether they have the proper knowledge or not, what they will be doing it. So all these things ends up in a pure dependency upon our principal only. So whatever the students himself learn about the bank branch audit, if he is in the first year of articleship, definitely he will not be knowing anything. So it takes times. So this session of 2 days for the students we have taken jointly with all the branches, especially for the students. And we have a very good today eminent speaker in this, Sushant Karbari sir. This session is for 2 days, 2 hours on 30th and 31st. And I expect every students and even principal has to take the benefit of this session we have arranged for. Thank you so much. And I will ask Sushant sir to start with our session of on today's bank branch audit. Thank you so much.
Good morning, everybody. I know it's early, it's 8 a.m. in the morning, but the branch has done an exceptionally good job, in organizing this right before the bank audit starts. And I'm sure it is going to be beneficial for a lot of people and a lot of students because the topics that have been put in even today and tomorrow are, covering a lot of aspects. In short, but covering a lot of aspects, and that's a good thing to do that. So what I'll do is it's a 2-hour session, so I'm going to keep it as interesting and as exciting as possible because I've put in a lot of practical stuff in there. So what I'll do is 1 hour 45 odd minutes I'll be taking it, and last 15 minutes we'll keep for any Q&A if there is. And anything anybody has a question and answer, be it basic, advanced, kuch nahi farak padta hai, sab seekh rahe hain yahan pe, everybody is in a learning phase. So if anybody's got that question, I'll keep that 15-minute kind of a window for Q&As. So I'll just start sharing my screen. Also, in the middle of everything, if anybody from the branch can let me know if something is wrong, please let me know, because online के वजह से बहुत easy हो गया है सब कुछ. But technical बीच में कभी तो something pops up. That's the other side of the technological advancements. So please let me know as soon as possible if my audio is not clear, if my video is not clear, or my screen is not visible, so that I can change it.
Yes,
So I'll
sir.
start sharing my screen. I hope the screen's visible.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. Just a minute. Yeah. So the topic for today is an exhaustive one because there are 4 things being covered, but I've bifurcated those 4 things into short. As a student or as an article, when you are going into a bank, ये time bound audit होता है. It's a 14-day, 13-day kind of an audit. So पता होना चाहिए कि exactly what you need to do, कहाँ पे क्या देखना है, because you don't have the luxury of time, right? So what I've done is every aspect I've broken down into practical aspects, so that वहाँ पे exactly वो देख लिया तो that much things get away from and that gets completed. You tick your checklist. So let's start on each aspect there. So I'll just run through what is being covered today. Practical basics of bank audit products. I'll run through this because I found it very interesting to let you know, because if in my student life people had let me know on these things, I might have got a little more smarter or little more insights before doing the bank audit. So I said I'll cover that as well. So in that, there are 2 bifurcations I've made: banking products and its relevance, and second, practical balance sheet and its interpretation. Second is audit planning, the topic, one part of the topic. Pre-audit, during audit, and post-audit. So bifurcating again into 3 parts, as practical as possible. पहले क्या करना चाहिए, during में क्या करना चाहिए, and post what happens. So anybody who's not gone for bank audits or who's it's going to be their first time, या already किया हुआ है लेकिन थोड़ा सा experience कम है, and all those aspects. Those aspects coming in. So those aspects coming in. So this will give you a guide as to what to do at what points of time. Audit program, broadline steps and its practical walkthrough. So what exactly, ICI's guidance note is wonderfully given. They've covered a lot of things, but I'm put in as practical and as crisp as possible ki what are the steps therein and what are the practical walkthrough that happens there. Vouching and verification of advances, again a very interesting, very interesting topic, which articles and students need to know about, because bank branch audit it is the core of the bank branch audit, if I could say. Stepwise and category-wise bifurcation in it, what happens and how is it bifurcated, and practically how does it go through. Again, CBS, a little theoretical there, but again, interesting aspects I've considered only, and useful exceptional report. Now, these exceptional reports, vary from bank to bank, but I'll let you know the relevance of it. I mean, it's got a wonderful relevance, and it can work as a very good tool for the auditor, because you can go through it and do a lot of analysis on it. So this is the entire structure how I'm covering in the next 1 hour 45 odd minutes. But I'm sure I've kept it as practical and as easy as possible, so that it doesn't become hectic, because we are early in the morning and everybody is trying to get into the zone. So I'm keeping it as practical as possible.
Sushant sir,
Yes, sir.
one request is there. Actually, extremely sorry that I forgot one step is missed by Siddhant. We have to give your introduction.
Okay.
That important part. So keep that first slide as it is. Meanwhile,
Okay, sure.
let him introduce, and people will also look into this slide. Let it
Okay.
be.
Okay, I'll just make this, yeah.
And Siddhant,
Okay, sure.
please do your part. It's very huge mistake because we should everyone should know who's Sushant. Yes, Siddhant.
Sorry, sir, for this interruption. And
No problem. Absolutely no problem.
now I would like to introduce CA Shushant Karbhari. Talking about his academic qualifications, he is qualified as a chartered accountant in 2015. He is also qualified BCom with first class from BMCC College, Pune in 2014. He has successfully passed Certified Information System Auditors Exam CISA in 2017, and also successfully passed post-qualification certificate course of ICAI on GST in 2021. Talking about his professional standing, he is a fellow member of ICAI since July 2016 as a practicing chartered accountant, as a partner in Shamla Sunil and Associates LLP Chartered Accountants. He has completed articleship from the prestigious firm of Kirtane and Pandit Chartered Accountants LLP Pune. He is handling a tax advisory practice and financial analysis area with specialization in GST law, management consultancy, bank, and assurance audits. He is empaneled as a resource person with the Committee on Capital Markets and Investors Protection of ICAI for conducting awareness programs for the financial year 2019 and to 2020. He is an active participant in the branch seminars, conferences of the Pimpri-Chinchwad branch and Pune branch of WIRC of ICAI. He is very often called for his expert comments on GST law by esteemed daily Pimpri-Chinchwad Today by S. Sakal. Talking about his hobbies and extracurricular activities, he has represented BMCC College in inter-college cricket tournaments and also for cricket clubs under Maharashtra Cricket Association and Pune District Cricket Association tournaments. He is a regular participant since 9 years at Pune branch of WIRC of ICAI during inter-firm cricket tournaments. He is a regular participant in marathons, yoga camps, etc. He is an avid reader and writer on topics in the genre of investments, finance, and listed companies, financial analysis, and investment strategies. He is a participant in the activities of Isha Foundation, Sadhguru, and also a regular meditator by completion of all levels of inner engineering by Isha Foundation. Thank you, sir. Now you may continue.
Thank you so much for that elaborate introduction. No problem, you missed out, because I know organizing an event is a big task, and CA Vaibhav Modi is doing an amazing job in planning and organizing everything, and also from the branch everybody. So that's okay. If I was organizing an event, I know how hectic it would have been. So that's absolutely fine. So going ahead, so this is the broad line steps of how things would look out in the next 1 hour 45 odd minutes, and let's go through each of those aspects there. Broad product wise classification of banks. Why do I keep this slide specifically at the start? Because not many of the people, everybody knows banks, right? Bank, what does bank do and what happens and what does not happen, everybody knows. But exactly what type is there, what's the revenue of the bank, what are the exact things happening? So I said I'll just run through it in a minute or so to cover this, because as a student you don't have that much of insights because you've never seen a banking industry as such or in business as such from that angle. So I said I'll just cover those things. So these are the fund based asset products. These are the assets of the bank, which consists of all the advances and the loans that you give in. So it consists of CC, overdraft, home loans, personal loans, vehicle loans, jewelry loans, business loans, term loans, loan against financial assets, and any other residual loans that they give out. So obviously it covers credit cards and everything else. So this is the fund-based asset product. So this is the major revenue that comes in for the banking industry or banking company as such. Fee-based asset products, bank guarantees, letter of credit, money transfers, letter of undertaking. So all these are, if you go to see, these are a little apart from the regular loans and everything. These are based on percentage or fees. So every time they give a guarantee, they give a letter of credit, they charge a percentage from the customers and from the borrowers. So that is also a part of their revenue. It might not be a huge chunk because the first is the core business, but yes, this covers a little bit. This is also there. Liability products. Why do I say liability products? Is because for you it's an asset, right? You keep your money into the bank. It's an asset. You keep your FD, you keep your savings, or you keep your current accounts. It's your asset. But for the bank, it's a liability because they have to pay back, right? They pay you interest. They pay back. They have to pay back in a certain period. They have to pay back that amount to you. So for them, it's a liability product. But yes, for a banking industry as such, there's an important term called a Casa Ratio that plays a very huge role. The higher the Casa Ratio, the Casa is the current account savings account ratio with respect to the total borrowings that they do. So the higher the Casa Ratio goes up, the higher the cost benefit goes up, because they're going to pay you 3% on your savings, right? But they are going to earn 9 and 8% from the fund-based asset products that they're going to generate. So that is the real business model of the banks. So this is just the overview of how things happen. We as auditors, we focus generally majorly on the first two aspects because that is where the risk is. The third part is the liability product. Obviously, we look into it, but the first two things are the major crux that a bank branch auditor looks into. So practical balance sheet and its interpretation. Now what I've done is I've taken a balance sheet, a standalone balance sheet of HDFC Bank from the last audited annual report that they've gone in, only for the practical purpose as to understand as a student, as an article, when you go into the bank, what is the relevance, because there's a huge relevance. We have a huge responsibility to do a lot of things, but in that way, you need to know what it happens finally. Balance sheets of companies, right? Balance sheets of partnership firm, proprietary, everything everybody knows. But here you need to know that exactly when you're auditing, what really happens in the balance sheet. If you know that, then you realize, oh, that's really important. That's really, you're doing an important job. So this is what I've covered in. If you look at this is the balance sheet actual. Now this is the asset side only because that is where more focus of our auditors is. If you go to see serial number E, loans. So loans are rupees 4.85 lakh crore. That's 4.5 lakh crores. That is how much they have given on. Constitutes almost 85% of the balance sheet size. Now, if you go to see, this is huge, and this is the business of the bank, right? So out of 5.60 lakh crore, if you see 4.85 lakh crores is only loan. That means the money that has gone out from the bank to the various borrowers like us, like corporates, like everybody else. So that is where our focus is. That is where our crux should is, or generally to determine what happens with that. Now, this figure in audit or as management or as investors or we look at this product can be classified into multiple sub products. This is product wise, customer wise, asset classification wise, now there's asset classification again. Next tomorrow's session is also a wonderful session. The speaker is going to cover on IRAC norms and the classification, so I'm not going into depth in that. But every loan is classified into standard, substandard, doubtful, and loss. In short, if you go to see a normal colloquial language, it means best, good, okay, poor, worse. Look at it and in this way: you give you have got 5 friends, you give your 5 friends money for lending. They need money, so you give it to them. Now if you give 100 rupees each to them, out of the 5, not all 5 will be in a financially stable position. Some might be absolutely rich, some might be poor, but they need it. So you have your own classification. If I give this guy 100 rupees, a guy maybe that money is good. If I give a B guy, the coming back, the money that is going to come back is sure percentage might be a little low, so you classify as poor. Same the bank does. So same the auditors have to classify. So this is one method, how one type in which we classify the entire loan structure. Again, area, state wise, region wise, as to which region how much loans of which bank are consisting into. And now this is a macro analysis. Obviously this at the branch level you will not do that much. First 3, yes, you will do it, but 4th not much. But I'm just giving you a macro view also of the balance sheet. Again, recurring first time, if you are an analyst or if you're an investor or management, you'll obviously see what are the recurring loans or what are the first time loans. Are they going into new markets, or are they or is the bank giving the same customers the loans again? So that's a very important crux to see whether the bank is a robust bank or a okayish bank. Now every branch financials are consolidated and totals up to this figure. Now if you go to see now, for example, if you see an HDFC bank, 4.85 is the total loans, right? So out of that, every branch will have chota loans, it will have it. So all this consolidated happens at the top level, which happens at the which is signed off by the central statutory auditor, and that constitutes this. So you are doing your branch audit, every amount and every branch matters, because it gets consolidated here. So you have to be very responsible enough to do that. So as an auditor, we are responsible to the nation, the stakeholders, that this figure, the loan figure that we consist of, comprises robust recoverable amounts having strong documentation. Now if you go to see recoverable, I've just highlighted the term recoverable because if you go to see the total balance sheet size, may say 4.85 is almost 85%, right? Tomorrow you go to see this amount is, something happens to this amount, the entire bank is collapsed, because there is nothing in the asset, right? Everything will have to be written off to the P&L. That's a very strong crux that happens. So you have to be very careful, because you are not only doing it for the bank and the stakeholders, but also the nation, right? There is, on the liability side, if you see, this is the asset side. On the liability side, there are depositor accounts, there are accounts of senior citizens, there are accounts of a lot of general public that is there. If this is not recoverable, how will the bank pay that amounts? And that is what has happened with most of the banks. If you see last month, most of the banks, but some banks that have been in the news, that this amount has this thing has got a little dicey or little stressed, and everything else gets stressed. So you have to be very careful in a bank, as an auditor, to ascertain the quality of this. It's not only about the quantity, it's about the quality of the loan that is given. For this, I just remember in 2000, and if you go to see 2014, 17 or that part, or 11 or 15, 2011, 15 part, if you go to see the analysis, Yes Bank did a job of almost 20%. They were growing at 20% every quarter on quarter, every year on year. Their loans were growing. But then 2018, everything came out and they realized that the loans that were given were not recoverable. In a banking industry, it's not about how much business you make. It's easy to make business. Everybody requires loans. You tell anybody, ye loan, le loan, nobody will say nahi chahiye. The point is, are you going to get it back? That is important. So the growth is more so you have to check the growth as qualitative. Qualitative, when you can say, is when the money can come back to you, not only go. So that is very important as a bank branch auditor. Whenever you're auditing, keep this in mind at a broader view, that you are doing something very really important, and you need to understand that this this is the crux of the entire thing. So in line with this, I've taken just a sub slide to that. I'll just run through it. this is the notes forming. As I told you, classification wise, if you see this 498 that you can see total, they have classified into individual loans, corporate bodies, others, and staff loans. So they have given their own bifurcations. It depends from bank to bank how much sub classifications they do, but a lot of good banks want to have the auditors or have the investors look into a lot of aspects. So they give a higher classification as to which type of loan it is, what it is, and what it is not. So if you go to see here, they've also sub-classified as secured by tangible assets, covered by intangible, covered by bank guarantee. So every loan they've said how much is secured. So even if something happens, we have security by tangible asset. Now, if you go to see this 4.85, this is after the impairment loss that they have, allowance that they have given. So if you go to this 4.85, they are saying almost 95-98% of the loans is secured by tangible asset. If you can see the A point after the net A. So that shows that even if those loans go out, they have got an immovable property or a tangible asset which they can liquidate and recover that. Obviously, no bank likes to go to that level, but that is one option they're given. So you have to be very careful as to whenever you go in a bank also, because this is this secured by tangible, intangible is mandated.
I think Sushanji, you are disconnected. He's coming back. Give us 2 minutes. Thank you. He has some technical problem. We will be back in 2 minutes. He is joining again. Yes, sir.
Hello. Yeah,
Yes, sir.
I'm audible.
Yeah, we can hear.
So like I start, technological.
Yeah, your,
Finally, today. So
your voice is little bit breaking, but
I
so your voice is breaking. I think so. Some net issue.
okay. Just let me know if my screen is visible.
Yes, sir. We can hear you also, and we can see the slide also.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah. Let's just start from here. Yes. Sorry for the entire thing. Sometimes things happen that's not in your control, but that's just the part of things. So I'll just go through where I was. So what we're going to do is we're going to divide the entire audit planning and audit program perspective into three parts. One is pre-audit, during audit, and post-audit. Now, part of audit planning process. Now, what we focus, or what generally we say is exactly audit kya karna hai and exactly how do we go and how do we do, right? Um, what I if I was a student, I perceive myself being in the shoes of the student or the article and going for the bank audit. So at that point of time, you need to have at least basic information about what happens. So what I'm covering here is, which is a part of an audit planning process, which is given by standards of auditing and everything, mainly focusing on pre-audit and skill upgradation. Now, this includes knowledge of the banking industry. I've given practical aspects that what you can do, where you can read it from. But I think it's late right now, 31st. Now, if you're going to start an audit from 2nd and 4th, it's a little late, but it's not too late as well. You can start it today as well. Knowledge of the banking industry, read financial magazines, newspapers, Wikipedia, obviously. Knowledge of the bank you would be auditing, read previous annual reports, recent press release. That will give you a hint. Although you are going to do a branch audit, but it's important you understand what developments are happening with the industry, with the bank that you're going to audit. it gives you a different perspective. So when you're talking to the bank managers, you're talking to the people in the bank, they understand that, oh, this guy is not only looking at my branch but also looking at a very macro picture as such, and it gives you higher, better points and a good perspective. So knowledge of the bank you would be auditing, you would get it from the what is the basic, not, I'm not saying in depth, but pretty basic stuff as to looking at the what the business is, looking at what their percentage of maximum business, lower business, and all that aspects there. Thirdly, recent developments in the banking sector. There have been a lot of development. Like last year, if some of you might have audited, that was a COVID period. RBI had gotten a lot of COVID, schemes and COVID related stuff for the bank. So these are all the recent developments that happened. Recently also there have been a lot of developments. So you can get it from the Financial Express, Economic Times, and everywhere. RBI recent notification circulars, again, very, very important. In depth a little, but ICS compiled it on their website and given you. You can just choose from the topic or the subject name. You can choose which you think are going to be the main focus kind of a things, and you can read it a little further on that. Products handled by the banks and their crux information. Again, rural agriculture loan, industry specific loan, as we covered in the start, products that were handled by the banks. So those products, again, some banks have got specifically rural agriculture loans and some schemes like KCC schemes and some other schemes. So you need to know some idea of it at least before going, because 14 days is a short period for audit, and in that you cannot study all this. So pre-hand only, if you know a little bit of this, it will give you an added advantage. It's like a 100-meter race, but you are taking that start a little from behind so that you get the momentum while going ahead. So that is one aspect that I generally tells the articles or tell the students to do. Auditing and accounting standards, again, whatever applicable, you have studied a lot at the IPCC level, at the final level, and all that aspects. But again, whichever you think are applicable, just brush through them. Just brush through them once. Guidance note and bank audit released by ICA, again, a wonderful guidance note release. They do it every year and very much in detail. Obviously, it's a 300-400 page guidance note, but you can at least check out the topics, the headings, and just see the basic stuff. All this, doing it before actually going on site for the bank audit, creates a huge difference. It gives you a perspective. It gives you a next level insights about how the banking operations go on, and the company how it operates, or the bank how it operates. Now this is the part of the audit planning process. I say bank branch audit, if some of you might be doing this for the first time, is ideally, I try to bifurcate it into 4 parts. One is actually branch statutory audit, auditing and certifying the financial statements like we do for the companies under the Companies Act, and as we do for under the Tax Audit Act, and all other aspects. Same branch statutory audit. So there's a main audit report which has got your qualifications, your opinions, and everything. Second, tax audit report, 44AB, statutory audit under income tax. Now some banks have centralized this. Some banks have kept it at the branch level. So depends on which bank you are doing. If it is centralized, if you are a branch auditor, you will not get to do this. So this other 3 aspects you will get to do. LFAR. This LFAR is specifically to the banks. Like branch statutory audit, it's similar to a Companies Act audit of the companies and other entities, but LFAR is specifically to the branch or the bank that you're going to audit. So it's a specific questionnaire. Again, if the branch is covering in a session, I think they're going to cover in the session. If they're covering, it's a wonderful thing, because it is mandated that you sign and you report on every questionnaire. It's a specific questionnaire mandated by RBI for every bank. So if you do a bank audit of SBI or a Bank of Maharashtra or Union Bank, LFAR remains the same. So all the questions that are asked, all the answers that you have given, you have to give it branch wise. So that remains the same. So this is the third point that a branch auditor has to see. And the fourth is certificate. There are specific certificates that have to be certified. Multiple certificates and its data have to be verified and certified. For example, there are some schemes of the government, the amount of subsidies under this loan and that loan. Now you have to certify in some of the report of the certificates that whether that scheme is gone to such person by checking in the actual ledger of that account, ledger of that customer and everything. So these are certificates apart from the actual branch audit report and the LFR. So these are the 4 aspects that I try to cover in. There is one more aspect there, actually closing guidelines, checking and its implementation, but it's a sub part of all this steps. So this will give you a bird's eye view about what, when you go for a bank audit, you're not blank, you're not going as such as to arey pata nahi hai, ya I don't know how it's going. This is give you a crux idea as to if you do this, you are ready for it going in there. So this is the pre-audit stuff. General broad line of the steps to follow for branch bank audit. This is a general steps. This is on, again, not a zoom in view, a zoom out view, but even as articles or a student, you need to know, because you're future chartered accountants, right? So you need to know what are the steps that are involved exactly from the start to the end when it happens for the branch statutory audit. So firstly is appointment engagement letter for branch statutory audit with closing circular. So they gave you that, sent the local head office appoints you as a auditor, and then the branches are also intimated. So the branch manager also doesn't know till now who the auditor is. It's been appointed at the top level. So the auditor and the branch manager comes to know almost together. So this is the appointment that happens from the top. Next, once the appointment happens, you have to take an NOC from the previous auditor, non-objection certificate from the previous auditor, mandated by ICAI. So whoever is auditing, you have to give of that branch, whoever is the previous auditor, send them an NOC that whether do you have any objection for us accepting this audit. So that's an NOC that you give there. Then pre-audit discussion with the branch, again, what the branch does, what is its main branch's main, is it a deposit branch, is it an advance related branch, is it a rural branch, a corporate branch, a business branch? So all these pre-audit discussions with the branch. Then audit planning to include understanding of the branch software and commands for view of borrower accounts and generation of various MIS critical exceptional reports. So now this might look a little complicated, but it's not. It's just understanding the software and whatever happens. Now, if you're doing it for the first time, it gets a little, you have to go in and there is a CBS slide also covering later on, which will tell you which bank uses what software. But if you are doing it first time, it gets, you have to spend a day or two understanding the software, right? So that has to get included in your audit planning as such. Then execution of the audit as per list wise, area wise details plan. Now every area wise there are checklists given by ICA that is in depth, but this is that overview that actual execution of audit has to happen as per the area wise and list wise. Then next part comes after every audit is done, after all the processes are done, then discussion of the draft branch audit report with the bank. So at the start, earlier slide, we saw 2 reports, right? One is the main statutory audit report, one is the LFAR, right? So all these, both the reports have to be discussed with the bank manager as to these are the points we have observed. Do you have any say on it? Do you have any explanation on it? And considering that explanation, report our observations. Then preparation of memorandum of changes and effect of the same in books of accounts of the bank. Now, many of you might not be knowing what memorandum of changes is, right? So memorandum of changes is like if you go to a bank audit, they will give you the balance sheet, the profit and loss statement, the trial balance, everything prepared. So it is finalized, it is prepared, it is signed by the bank manager, and it is ready. Now, in the course of audit, if you come to understand that there have been some accounting lapses or accounting changes that you need, that they have not done correctly, and that needs to get incorporated in the balance sheet, which is going to change the balance sheet. Now, this you cannot just pass an entry, right? The manager can't pass an entry because it is all system related. That has already got signed. So now you have to, for this rectification, you have to give a separate memorandum of changes, GL code wise reasoning as to which GL is going to get hit, what is going to get changed in the balance sheet, in the trial balance and everything. So that is another certify, we have to certify it, and as per our observations. Now, if you give a memorandum of changes, this effect happens at the top level. At the central level, they consolidate all this and give the effect in the financials. But if you don't give a memorandum of changes, that balance sheet, that P&L goes as it is at the top level, it gets consolidated at the top level. So memorandum of change is very important, because if you've got something to change which you're not agreeing with, be it classification of advance or some interest related revenue recognition, or be it anything expense related or any other aspects, anything that you find is separate or diverse from what the bank has done, you have to give a MOC, generally called a MOC in the banking terms. Give an MOC and give the effects of the same in the books of account. You can't just generally pass an entry, you have to give it through an MOC. So after doing that, a review of the post memorandum trial balance and review of the post memorandum trial balance, and ensure the correct accounting effect of memorandum. So after you have given a MOC, check out once that whether that effect is going in the correct way and correct GLs wherever you want to give it, right? Then finally, submission of audit report to the branch and copy to central statutory auditor. Now, central statutory auditor is sitting at the head office, which gets a consolidation of all the reports from all the branches under them. So there is region-wise central statutory auditor appointed. So for the western region, there is another central statutory auditor. From the northern, there is separate, and depends on the bank-wise. So if you are from Pune, if you get a branch from Pune and areas around, your thing will go to the local head office statutory auditor. So all for him, after our branch audit ends in the end of April or the start of May, they sit down to audit the entire thing, because finally, if you go to see the annual report, finally signatures on all the financials is theirs. So they consolidate everything, they give you a call or they have discussions with you. If in case from your report they find something critical, they will let you know. So you are as good as you are very responsible enough to report to the central statutory auditor as well. So this is the general broad line of steps. So anybody who's not done statutory audit or bank statutory audit will understand that this is the broad line. This is the overview, as you can say, outline of the entire bank branch audit. Now, pre-audit, part of pre-audit was the understanding or knowledge part of you. This is the actual implementation part of you. Firstly, as we covered in the earlier slide, compliance requirements have to be fulfilled. Now, once you get the appointment, you have to understand NOC has to go, engagement letter has to go. These are all as per the standards of auditing guidelines. So all this formal compliance has to be done. Second, once you understand that this branch you're going to audit, the numbers are given of the branch manager, the email IDs are given of the branch manager on the letter which the head office sends you. So start at the start before you go on site, because once engagement happens or appointment happens, there are still 3 to 4 days before you actually go on site, right? So before that, you send them a preliminary information on mail as to what is the size of the branch, number of employees branch, because you don't know anything about the branch, right? So they need to know so that you can plan. Okay, if you have got 2-3 branches, you have to plan as to a branch mein how much time to give, this branch how much time to give, and all that. So for that, you can't just decide on the 4th or 5th of April going there. Itna data hai, this is how much complexity it is, and it is not, right? So beforehand, you need to have that information. So these are the some examples of what you should call for the branch, so that you understand that what is the type of branch and how much volume is the branch. Because again, I told you, it's a time-bound audit. It's a 14-15-day audit, and it gets very hectic if you don't follow procedure and discipline. If it is not discipline, it is going to get all over the place, Seeking system reports, financials to be kept ready. Now you have to ask them for any report that you need beforehand. Financials of the previous year, of the current year, to be kept ready, received on mail from the branch. Seeking previous year audit reports, whatever has happened, concurrent, statutory, RBI audit, internal audit, everything takes place. Depending on the size of the branch, lot of regulatory bodies are going on around it. So whatever has happened during the year, you have to call for all the reports and also the last year's reports. Now, LFA are documentary requirements. I suggest you have to send them before, because going there, having discussions with them, specific some parts you will come to know specific to some branches, but there are many things that are standardized at the bank level. So you beforehand know that these documents are going to be available with them. So might as well send the list beforehand, so that later on you save that time, save that time of getting the documents, asking for them, following up, and all those things. So beforehand, if you send the list, it's good. And ICAI in the guidance note has given this very much in detail about what to ask, which question, what to ask, and everything. Now, this is the pre-audit, what happens. So this is actually before going to the audit place, what happens. During the audit, some reports are physical, so you'll have to go there and you'll get it. So reading through the last year's report for any adverse or noticeable comments, points to be checked relevant for this FI. Very important, because sometimes we miss out on reading previous year's report. So if you're an article, if you're a student, just go through the last year's report as to what last year's auditor has he said something about this branch, or about some specific loans that you need to be aware about. It gives you a insight from an outsider person, because now you are going to audit it. So it should not happen that you have not read that thing from last year and you have just missed out on the thing. Analysis and detailed scrutiny of the system report. Now, if you go to see the Uparwala point, third point, pre-audit, you have asked for the system reports, right? Now you're going to get them. Now, once you get them, analysis and detailed scrutiny of the system reports that have been obtained, that has to be done during the audit. Advances, loans given, what they will give you is, they will give you consolidated data of every loan wise transaction as to what is the loan number, everything, and on a text to column file. That analysis you have to consider in Excel, and that analysis has to be done on that. So there are lots of parameters that I'm covering in the next slide as to how to check that, because that is the main file. That, as I told you in the earlier slide, we saw the HDFC Bank annual report. That loans is the main thing. So that entire file you're going to get, and on that what analysis to do and what thing I have covered in the earlier slide. So this is a part of the during the audit program or the process. Then after that, then you take out a sample list for actual document verification, because that you will receive on the Excel or on in soft. Now from that you will tell them these loans I need to see documents, actual documents, physical document that they have kept. So physical documents are kept in. So verification of the loans, again, as per the checklist, guidelines and circulars of RBI. Every loan wise, ICAI also has given what to check, be it housing loan, jewelry loan, term loan, and other aspect. So that checklist have given. So once you remove the sample file, then you get the documents, actual file, physical file you will get to check. So that time you should know कि क्या क्या check करना है. नहीं तो ऐसे हो जाएगा कि you don't know what to check and you're just going through the file, and there is no point in that, right? Then after that, verification analysis of other areas. Now, if you go to see first two, third and fourth point, this is related mostly to only advances, but there are also other items on the balance sheet and the P&L, right? Like expenses, like liabilities, like other assets and everything. So those, what are those analysis? So if you go to see, you have to divide this into two parts, one advance related and one other than advance related. So verification of this and what are those things to be checked. Again, checklist have been given by ICAI, what all to be checked in every aspect. So during the audit continued, after this LFR point checking, now you have sent them the LFR list, right? At the start, pre-audit, you have sent them, ki ye LFR ka point se I need document. Now, once you receive that, checking along with accurate prescribed processes, documentation as per checklist, whether they have complied as per RBI, they have not complied, and all those aspects. Then we saw at the earlier that you have to also, the auditor has to also sign certificates, right? Certificate as to subsidy, whether they have got some subsidy certificate, this certificate, that certificate. So actually checking the accuracy of the data along with certificates and along with financials and system reports. So all this compiled. Now, only certificate checking is easy. Usme kya karna hai? But this has to be checked along with system reports, the transaction, the ledgers in the financials, and everything. So to check the accuracy of what they have certifying, what they have filled that certificate, for that accuracy, because you are going to sign saying ki this certificate is correct. So for that back working, you need to check exactly about what it is in the system. After all this done, discussion with the branch regarding queries, requirement as and when during the audit. Now, when this is done, post audit, discussion and obtaining confirmation from the branch of the audit points concluded, that we saw earlier also. Whatever points you have concluded, discussion and obtaining confirmation from the branch, and discussion and obtaining confirmation of the draft LFR, because from all this you are going to fill your draft LFR, right? So draft LFR checking and discussing with them, this point we have observed this, do you agree with this, do you not agree with this, all those aspects. So these are the post audit aspects. After that, obtaining written representations from the branch for the audit conducted, again as per the standards of auditing. Obtaining confirmation of the attendance sheet from the branch, very important, because we go on site later on, the head office or the other people should not say ki those guys auditors have not come and they have come for so many days and all. So it's better you take a confirmation sign from the branch. These are the number of people attending, these are the dates and these are the timings that we have attended, and sign and keep it on your record. Again, a part of the audit process and the auditing standards. Finally, signing of the statutory audit report, LFR certificate. So this is the entire process that takes place. So this is pre, during, and post. Now, specifically advances, because that was a topic of the session therein. Advances, it's vouching and verification. Now, I've covered advances because you are talking about advances and loans given. It's very crux of the entire bank audit. I've covered it into 4 aspects. I've divided into 4 aspects as such. One is analysis of advances. Actually, analysis of advances from where? From the system reports, from the loan borrower wise file. Now, I told you in the earlier slide, they give you a file wherein entire that, for example, if you have a branch or in that branch, there is 200 crores of loans given, right? So every 200 crores loans, they will give you borrower wise, loan number wise, customer number wise, EMI given, all those parameters are there. So they'll give you that file matching, totaling to those 200 crores. So you have to analyze on that file as to whether it is a high risk loan, what is a loan outstanding and everything. So that is a loan borrower wise file. So this has to be analyzed. So I've covered first portion is the analysis of advances. This analysis is to be done in soft. So on Excel or on whatever softwares or you have got, you can do analysis on that. Third, sampling data for document verification. So from this analysis, you will remove a sampling file to check the actual documentation. So this is the first part of the advances, the actually advances of analysis of advances. Second part, now once you have given the sampling list, they will give you files. Now they will bring you files for verification, so actual verification of loan documents and also physical verification if required. Now, once you see the documentation and you feel that there is a home loan for say, and you come to know, okay, this home loan is at a place where you think it might not be real, or there are some things that might sound fishy. You can obviously tell the bank manager or tell your partner or tell the other people that I find something fishy. So can we just ask the bank manager to have a physical verification of the site? You can have a physical verification. He will take you to the place, and if it's a closer place, he will take it to you there and check. Then you can verify whether that actual place is there. Now, there are some cases machinery loans are given, then actual machinery is there or not. If you find from the loan documents, well and good. If you find loan documents are missing, it is better to do a physical verification, because that might be also resulting into a fraud or say. So that is also there. This is the second part that I've covered in there. Third part, after this analysis and this documentation, whether this is in line with RBI notification circulars of income recognition and asset classing. Now, these are the 2 aspects that are crux. One is, out of those loans given, what is the income that they have to recognize, and whether that income they have recognized is as per the norms of RBI accounting standards and other aspects. And thirdly, asset classification. Like we saw HDFC Bank, we saw there was 4.98 lakh crores of advances, right? Now, what is this asset classification? How much are good? How much are okay? How much are loss? How much are bad? This asset classification, we have to check from the documentation and the report whether they have done it correctly. Now, this is the crux of the advances audit that you can see. And this is called IRAC norm classification. So that in tomorrow's session, the speaker will surely cover it in detail. After all this, again, discussions, confirmations, and reporting. So this is a broad line aspect of how advances of audit of advances done. This is the 4 categories I bifurcate into, and here's step 5. Once you do first, then you go to the second you do, and third one is in conjunction with the 2. And then last thing is, after everything, you have to have discussions with the management. Now, analysis of system reports with respect to advances. This is an illustrative list, not a detailed one. Maybe there are 4, 5, 10 points extra that a person can do, depending on the skill. But this is an illustrative list of what analysis to do on the system report with respect to advances. Firstly, very important that I suggest people, and we do it, is reconciliation of that file that you get with financials. Because what happens is, like we do for every audit or company audit, everything, you have to check for completeness. Balance sheet, they will give you a balance sheet. In that, there is an amount, say 200 crores. Now, they will give you another file which will have detailed of those 200 crores. Now, you have to check and put a reconciliation as to whether they have given you complete data and not removed of 4-5 loans which are dicey and given you, because you will audit on that file and you will come to know later on that this was not matching with my balance sheet, then that is a problem. So at the start only you have to match it up with the financials so that you are okay, that now you can work and do analysis on that report. So there is no problem. Second, consolidated, that file you receive, that exact consolidated file of loan wise, borrower wise analysis, that you have to do from the multiple parameters that I've covered. What parameters from the next slide. NPA already classified accounts and its movement analysis. NPA is non-performing assets, as loans that have not been repaid by the borrower. Now, for example, how does a thing, I'll cover very basic. How does a loan become NPA? There is classification as to standard, substandard, loss, doubtful, and everything. But general term is 3 EMIs he does not pay, that has to go as a NPA, first classification of NPA, because that person is not repaying into 3 installments or 90 days, whatever you call it. So what are the NPA accounts they have classified as NPA? Because once you classify the loan as NPA, you cannot do any interest on it. You will not be able to generate any income on it because that's NPA. Now you have to monitor it. So you have to check as an auditor, what are the classified accounts as NPA and its movement. What do I mean by movement is, sometimes last year some loans were NPA. This time they are not NPA. That means there is reason that they have been upgraded, or they have, the customer has paid that money. So you have to be very careful in this analysis as to exactly whether they're genuinely being paid or only the bank manager for the purpose of not putting up a lot of NPAs are pushing off entries. So this is one classification that is important. Probable NPA list, probable NPA and NPA's differentiation. NPA is actually the 90 days period has gone ahead from the due. The EMI was due till the day that person has not paid, that 90 days is gone, he's turned into NPA, right? But probable NPA is, for example, his EMI was due on 30th of March, but not 31st of March, let's consider 30th of January. Now, 30th of January, his EMI was due, but he has not paid his EMI on 30th January, 28th of February, the first EMI, and the 30th of March. So his actual EMI is due at the year end was 2. So he's not an NPA, because NPA you need 3 EMIs not paid. So he's not paid 2. So this person or this loan will be in your probable NPA list. Now, if he is in a probable NPA, probable NPA is he might go into an NPA next year, right? So this list also you have to analyze a lot, because that's important to understand whether there's a genuine probable NPA, or there are some NPA they have been put it as probable NPA. So all these analysis, you can do a lot of analysis on the soft file, but it's important that you analyze these reports. Restructured advances analysis and verification. Restructure is again, I'll not cover in depth because it is a very vast topic, but restructure is sometimes you take a loan, right? You are not being able to pay. You genuinely go to the bank and say, see, my COVID, my income is gone, this is gone, that has happened, I cannot pay it. Can you restructure my loan? So there are norms by RBI when you can restructure, what are the parameters and all that. So what bank does is, it does not convert you into an NPA, but it restructures your terms of your loan and tells you, okay, now you pay these terms, we will extend the loan period or anything like that, you pay these terms. So if he pays from that, then he's not an NPA. But if original sanction terms, if he had gone by, he would have turned into an NPA. So this list you will get from the bank branch, and you need to analyze on this whether he was actually eligible for restructuring or not. Because if he's not eligible for restructuring and is restructured, that the bank has done only to save on NPA recognition, and that is very critical aspect. So that you have to very carefully check. Again, upgraded advances, upgraded in the sense he was NPA last year, but now he's not NPA. That means he's upgraded. His classification has gone from substandard to standard, or whatever other classification, to standard. So this you have to check whether that upgradation has happened genuinely. Genuinely, a person can go into an NPA, and again he might pay the entire thing, and genuinely he might come out of the NPA. But this has to you have to check it, and this has to come rationally and genuinely. Now, as I told you, this second point, consolidated borrower-wise, loan-wise analysis. Now, I've gone in depth. If you get this file, what are the aspects to check as to what to remove your sample or to remove your analysis, what to do on this file. So these are again illustrative list. Again, there might be much more in depth. Firstly, analyze and separate the new sanction. Now, there might be a lot of new sanctioning that happened during the year. Analyze and separate, because you will get the entire file of all loans outstanding as on date, which might usme se kuch loans might be something that they have given in 2017, 18, 16, 17, which are carrying forward and normally carrying forward. So you have to understand whether you want to remove that as sample in your audit verification or not. But mainly, what loans have been given new loans given in this year, you have to analyze and separate the new sanction during FY 21-20, because they are new. Last year's loans that are given, last year's auditor also might have checked, so it has already gone a view, but if it is critical, you have to see. But previous auditor has also seen, but this year's nobody's seen, right? You are the first person seeing, so you have to focus perfectly on those sanctions. Second, analyze large accounts, that is loans that are more than 2 crore or 5% of advances from point 1. So out of this, if there are any from point 1, you have to analyze that. Again, analyze large account more than 2 crore or 5% of total advances from total file, that is all loans. Now, second point is only from new sanctions. Third point is from all loans. What are the high advance unit? Because these are risk category. More than 2 crore or 5% total advance, RBI specifically tells that you have to monitor it carefully, because these are high risk. Tomorrow, if this turns into an NPA, the balance sheet size will get a little hit. So you need to focus carefully on these loans as well. Staff advances, because they are staff, and you might not know, some bank manager or some loan sanctioning authority might give loans ऐसे ही क्या staff है चलो दे देते हैं and all that aspect. So that you have to be very careful. Staff advances from that file, if you can figure out, take it differently. Out of that, take some for sampling and document verification. More than one loan issued to borrower and loans in probable NPA list. Now, one borrower. Now, one borrower can avail many loans. He can avail a home loan or car loan or this loan or that loan, everything. But if he has been availed and his one loan or more than one loan are in probable NPA list, that means he is not paying some of the loan. Now, he might turn into an NPA, right? So tomorrow he turns into an NPA, all his loans will turn into an NPA. That is a rule of the NPA classification, that if his one loan turns into an NPA, even though he might be paying the others or not paying the others, everything goes into an NPA. So you have to be very careful in this analysis as well. Loans issued at the year end and beginning of the year. Again, we know this we do for companies audit also, that sampling from our sales year end and beginning of the year, because every company or every bank has got targets. Are itna target fulfill karna hai. So they issue loans gahi gadbad mein. And once they do that, their documentation is might not be that good. So you have to take out in a sampling that at the year end, if there are bigger loans issued, take it in a sampling, check the documentation, because it might result into criticality for, they might just do it for completing targets, but that is not our purpose. Like as an auditor, we need to understand that we need to check the quality of the loan. It does not matter if the bank is maintaining their target or not. That is their question. That is not our problem, right? Comparing category of loans and interest rate for unusual rate. Now, what we have seen sometimes is some other category of loans is given different interest rate. They have got product wise. Every bank has got home loan, this products, different rates. This auto loan, this product, that product, different rates. Now this you have to just compare and check whether there are one product they have not charged 5 rates, because one product has to be with one rate. Then they have to change the product. So all these analysis, you can do a multiple analysis on that file, Now, any loans from the exception loan data file. Now we called for the reports, right? We called for exceptional reports. Exceptional reports I've covered in the last slide as well. What exceptional reports? But exceptional reports are the reports that system gives you, because in the bank you cannot do manual. Manual you can do, but everything gets recorded. Every aspect gets recorded. You cannot delete. If you delete an entry, also it will get recorded that it was passed and it was deleted, right? So from the exception, what the system does is it takes out any unusual transactions and gives you the list. So directly you have to take that list from the system and check whether any of these loans that you're analyzing is in that exception data file. If that is there, then you have to take it out for sampling. Major advances which have closed during the year. Now, advances which have closed during the year, you have to check whether genuinely closed or foreclosure or whatever. You can just take out a few out of the entire sample and check actual documentation whether they're genuinely closed or what are the reason that they've. Restructuring of accounts. Again, I told you a concept. If there are any restructuring of accounts done, again take a sample, because restructuring you have to check whether there are genuine restructuring happened, RBI के हिसाब से हुआ है क्या, what are the conditions that have to, there are specific conditions when you can do restructuring, right? So when those conditions are fulfilled, then only you can do. So you can take out some sampling to check whether actual restructuring was done genuinely or not. Now, accounts which are not regularly renewed or ad hoc not regularized for more than 180 days. What does this mean is, this means CC accounts and everything have to be regularized and renewed, right? Projection have to be taken on record. Everything has to be taken on record. There's a procedure. But if you can find from that analysis that some accounts have not been renewed, right? So those sampling you will take for document verification, because that means there are high risk that the bank is not monitoring them. The bank is not taking the right documents from them and verifying them. So that you have to take it separately. Fresh NPAs identified by the branch. Out of that, again, check for sampling and check for documentation, because this might result tomorrow into an absolute loss asset. Loss asset in the sense nothing will recover. So at that point of time, the documentation plays a very important role, because if the bank has to go and file a case against that borrower that he's not paid, and whatever is mortgage or whatever security that the borrower has given, that has to be clear. If that is not clear, bank will not recover anything. So fresh NPAs also, if there are, take it out in the sampling list and verify them. NPA cases where realizable value of security is less than 10%. Now this is very risky, because if his loan outstanding is say 2 crores, okay, and the security is only 15 lakhs. Tomorrow, if this loan goes into NPA and he's not being able to pay, bank क्या करेगी, वो security बेच के he will recover the loan, right? But the security is only of 20 lakhs, 30 lakhs. What will they recover? How will they recover 2 crores? So that is important from your auditor perspective to understand that such type of cases have to be scrutinized separately. Quick mortality cases, now very, very important and very good point that ICA has put in to check. What does quick mortality cases mean? Loans given and NPA in the same year or less than 1 year from the time it is given. Now, for example, loan is given on the 25th of April 2021. Okay. Now that person has paid 2-3 installments till June, July, and suddenly he stopped paying 3 installments, 6 installments. Now, genuine cases, it can happen that somebody might have incurred losses in business, or something personal might have happened, or something might have happened. It's genuine. But generally, these kind of loans are risky, because the bank has sanctioned it and immediately it is gone into an NPA. That is risky. So all these cases you have to see separately, that there are no high risk, because sometimes it might be happened that there are no genuine loans given. There are just ad hoc loans given and it is gone into an NPA and gone. The bank is gone. So you have to separately take this out for verification, document verification, whether they are genuine, whether they are not genuine, and all those aspects. A fresh loan after immediate closure of own loan. Now this is genuine. This can genuinely happen. Like for example, you take 2 loans tomorrow. You take a home loan and you close the home loan and you say, "Kya ghar mil gaya, chalo." Now let's take a car. You take a car and immediately you go from the same branch. You take a car loan. That's okay. That's general. But for an added this 1-2 sample you can take out as to whether this is genuine, because one he has closed the loan and immediately he's gone for another. So as it genuinely happened and documents are okay and all, you can just take it from it. And last one, again, I told you illustrative list, there might be 100 more points, but I've just given an illustrative list. More than one housing loan is sanctioned to one individual. Now, generally, one person will take one house at one point of time. If he's got huge repaying capacity, he might go for second loan. But generally, 95% of the cases, he will take one house. For that, he will take one loan, right? He will not, during that loan tenure, he will not go and take second house, third house, fourth house, and take loan on everything from the same branch, right? Or the same bank. But that's a little risky. So and in case his income stops, the bank is at risk for everything then. So you have to see this kind of loan separately as to ki yahan pe risk nahi hai na. So all this is done to reduce the risk of the auditor and get our conformity levels to a point where we can say, chalo theek hai, that advances or the loans amount is genuine and recoverable. As I told you in the start, that recoverable word I had highlighted. It should be recoverable. Loan gaya hai wo, it should come back. If it's not come back, that loan is no use. If it's going to be written off to P&L, it's of no use. So all these aspects give you a higher conformity as to things are going good. Now I'll just rush through some of the aspects. Each type of loan I've given some illustrative points. Some of them are common, but some illustrative point as to what to check. Now, what we have seen here is, here we have seen from the soft consolidated borrower wise file, what will you get, right? Then you will remove a sample. Now, once you remove a sample, then actual document verification, what to do? In front of you, you will have a thappa of file, entire file you will have, but out of that, what to check? Exactly what to see, you have to know na. For that, there are guidelines. Again, loan wise, things will differ. 80% will remain same, 20% you have to use your skill and knowledge ki अरे इसमें ये document है अलग है and all that aspects. But generally, this is a illustrative list as to what is the verification, actual document verification to be done. Firstly, obtain the sample of housing loans that selected by you. Loan application will be there in the file. Loan application is signed and properly executed is there. So it has to be properly executed, properly signed, because if the loan application is not signed and loan is given, tomorrow you cannot catch that borrower saying you are held responsible because he's not signed the document. So to be seen that those documents are properly signed. Sanction letter is available. Sanction letter is also there. This loan application sanction letter is two different aspects. Loan application is actually application made by the borrower or the customer that I want to avail the loan. These are my requirement and these are my thing. And as per the application of the format of the bank, they fill in. Sanction letter is sanctioning by the bank. So there are terms and conditions given in it. So you read that carefully because that is what plays a role in the other documents. Loan proposal indicating projections. So projections, if there are any, that loan proposal has to be given. So this is prepared by the bank as to what is the loan proposal while giving them. These are the projections, these are the estimates that we have done. Title deeds, title again house loan. So whatever title, house title has to be with the bank because the ownership of the house is with the bank because they are giving loan, right? Tomorrow, if the person does not repay the loan, the bank has all the right to sell that house and recover the money. So the title deeds have to be lodged with the bank. Assessment of repayment capability, salary certificate, IT returns, P&L accounts. So that person's actual repayment capability certification that you are giving loan TK, but is he going to pay back? So for this, these documents are there. There might be more documents also, but these are the main documents that are there. Margin at this percentage. Now that person has to put in some margin, right? You cannot give 100% of the loan. 20% he has to put in down payment or whatever you call it, and then 80% loan is given. So whatever the margin is there, whatever they've considered as per the land cost or construction cost or the house flat value or whatever it is. So on that basis, what are the calculations? Then that all documents are there. You have to just check that whether it is in line with what the sanction letter and what the RBI says. Legal opinion as to title of property. Sometimes what happens is somebody is building a flat or doing something, and out of that you will figure out that legal title ही नहीं है. And how does the bank recover? Their land legal title is not in the name of the person who's borrowing the loan. It is on some other. Tomorrow that person runs away, the bank cannot recover from him because title is not there. That is why legal opinion is required from an advocate or a surveyor or a surveillance guy as to the title of the property is correct. So legal opinion is also given in the file. Approved building plan, that there is a building plan approved by the corporation or the CMDA or other authority. Insurance policy of the flat. In case tomorrow something happens to the flat, there is an insurance that bank does not get into problem. Insurance policy se wo recover kar sakte. So that policy is there. Inspection of property by the bank, actual inspection, physical verification, photos and everything that the officials have done it. So if that is there known, you don't need to go in, or if you file more problematic, you can do it again. But this should be there that the bank has actually verified the property. Final valuation certificate for completed properties. If they're complete, again the final valuation or the completion certificate is there. Valuation report is less than 3 years, available from expert about the land property. Loan details recorded correctly in CBS, test of repayments done, and test of interest. What are these three is, whatever physical documentation you have seen, in that whatever amounts have to go and have to be properly put in the system. If that is not put in the system, there is no use. Everything is gone because system mein EMI chal raha hai alag hi cheezon se, and your loan application says something. So that you have to check with your Excel file and your system as to whatever you are seeing in the sanction letter is correctly feeded in the, because that is done manually. So correct feeding has to be done, correct interest rate has to be done. If interest rate is written in the sanction letter 9% and in the system it is given at 7.5%, you as auditor should say, "Arey, you are losing on revenue. The bank is getting problematic." So that is one aspect that you have to see. This is in respect to housing loan. I've covered more 3-4 loans, but some points are same. I will not go in detail of the same points. I'll go into detail into the differential points. Term loans are given. Everybody knows term loans. Everybody is audited companies on for specific purpose like machinery or some tangible assets. Some purpose it is given that term loans are given. So obtain the sample of term. Again, same loan application will be available. Loan actually signed. Sanction letters available. Loan proposal indicating projection as well as financial audited financial statement. This should be on record because this will show whether that company or that business is worthy of availing that term loan for getting that, whether they're eligible for it. Again, title deeds should be lodged with the bank. Assessment of repayment capabilities. And now there are many multiple factors. From the audited statement, you can figure out कि उसकी repayment capability है या नहीं है and all that aspects. LTV ratio is maintained or not. This ratio has to be maintained to some percentage, whether that ratio is maintained or not. If release against pro forma, now then final invoice. Now what happens is a company has to buy a machinery. For that they require a loan. Now the company has to buy a machinery from a party. Now, a party says, till I get the money, I will not issue an invoice. So he gives a pro forma invoice. Now that company sends a pro forma invoice to the bank and saying, on this basis, I need the loan. And once you give the amount and everything, I will give you the final invoice. And so on the pro forma, the release is done. After that, you have to verify as to whether that actual final invoice is received or not. Because that is a final, on pro forma, you cannot legally take anybody to court, right? On the final invoice, you can legally take. So that is, you have to check whether that is on record as well. This is again, physical verification needs to be done after final invoice is received and all. In final invoice, parameters as GSTN number, supplier details and everything. If it is the same party, same amount, same everything is given. Installation certificate, again, very important as to actual installation is done or not in the factory, and when it is done, what is done, because the bank is paying for it, right? The bank is paying for that machinery. You have to know whether an installation is done. If for any other purpose, check proof of end use. That end use, whether that money has gone for that purpose itself. Very, very important. And some point, some auditors miss out or some people miss out. Very important. If it's a term loan, check the document, what the bank has verified for end use. Whether that end use has gone for the purpose in which the sanction letter is signed with. That auditor has to very, very clear. Naito, it might result into frauds. Latest audited financials. Now, these 3 points are common as to what the feeding has done in the system with respect to the documentation and the files. We've got around 4 to 5 slides to go only. Educational loans, again, most of the points remain same, but there are specific points that specifically go different. Now just read the term loans as education loan. This is same for everything that it will be there in every file. Assessment of repayment of parent, because the parent is going to repay the loan because it's an education loan, right? The student cannot repay. So the parent has to repay. So you have to check whether the repayment capacity is there from the ITR, salary certificates and everything. So from that you will figure out what is the repayment, whether he is okay to do the repayment and all those aspects. For loan to minor, a parent should sign the application and all documents for self on behalf of minor. Because if this is not done, actually, if you see, you cannot hold a minor accountable. Because if he signs document, it's not legally accountable in the court of law. So a parent has to sign, a major has to sign on behalf of him. So you have to see whether that parent has signed and not only a minor signature. कल कुछ हो गया तो the bank will say that I cannot hold this guy responsible because he's a minor. Ceiling based on course, every course wise there is a ceiling as per the guidelines of the bank as per RBI. So based on course, how much they can give as loan, that you have to see. Not given for capitation fee. Capitation fee is all these donations and other activities and other stuff they're given. So you have to see whether that amount is given and for that they are availing loans or not. If that is not allowed, It has to be only for educational purposes, and the fees, course fees, and all those hostel fees and everything. Margin maintained at X percentage, obviously they have to put in their own thing, and total percentage out of that, some margin has to be given by the bank. Creation by deposit of title deed. Title deeds, a parent will say that I am responsible for the loan of the child, but for that, if I don't repay, there is you can keep my house. Girvi pe, you can keep my house, right? So you have to check whether that title house creation of deposit is done on the title deeds, because it has to be in the bank in the name of the bank and things, so that they can tomorrow if something happens they have to check out. Inspection of property by the bank. Actual inspection, if it is there or not, has to be seen. Interest to be serviced before completion of course for loans to employed person. Valuation report again of that property, and last three same details that we have to feed in. So this is on the aspect of educational loan. When you see the documentation, 80% will be in line with this, but 20% might be a little here and there. That will depend on bank and bank policies, and also the loan, which type of loan it is and all. But you have to be smart enough. You have to just check. One principal crux that I've been telling people is, you have to just check worst case scenario. Tomorrow, the file in front of you, this person is not able to repay. Can the bank recover the outstanding amount from the person by either selling his asset or by other means? Can he do that? If that is a purpose that the file should serve, and if there are risks in it, that recoverability risk is there, that even if he defaults and even if his security if he's sold, still cannot be recovered, then you have to qualify as an auditor saying that this loan, I do not think if it goes to NPA, tomorrow the bank will not be able to recover it. That is very important. That is a crux for every verification. That is a crux you have to remember in your mind. Jewelry loans, again, most of the points are same, but there are specific interesting points here. Jewel packet verified for weight and purity. Now, jewelry, because it is pure, it is all on trust, right? So you have to have a certificate by a valuer that this is genuine. Tomorrow somebody will give a fake jewelry on that, he'll take a loan and run away tomorrow. Bank will go to sell that jewelry and they will realize that this is a fake jewelry. Then what is the point? The money is also gone because that person has run away, and you cannot even take it from the gold because that gold is also fake. So there has to be valuation certificate verified for weight and purity. Letter of pledge is available, that pledging is done with the bank. Rate of interest is updated properly in the system. Certificate for purity and authenticity, again in line with the third point, because in gold loan it is all about purity, it is all about weight, it is all about things. Now this is very important point. Percentage of loan of total valuation ideally ranges from 60 to 70% of valuation. What does this mean? Tomorrow you put yourself in the shoes of the bank. Tomorrow you want to give jewelry loan. Somebody comes to you and tells you ki I have got 20 gram of jewelry, this is my jewelry, and you give me loan on that. Now assuming at that point of time, gold loans per 10 gram jewelry rate is 40,000. Okay, so 20 gram jewelry is 80,000 rate. Now bank, do you think bank will give 80,000 loan? No, bank will not do, because gold is fluctuating. Tomorrow after 6 months, that gold value goes to 30,000 and that person runs away and he's not paid one installment and he's run away after taking 80,000. Tomorrow you go to sell that jewelry, you will actually get 60,000 because that rate will be 30,000. So what bank does is, bank generally gives 60 to 70% of the actual rate. So if it's a rate of 80,000, you will get a loan of 50,000 only. Even if that rate goes down tomorrow, it will still not go down by 30-40%. The chances are very less. So the bank has some cushion there. So that is something that is very important, that even auditor has to see what is the percentage of valuation the loan has given. It should not, in any case, not be more than 70% or so. Again, loan details correctly recorded in CBS, test of repayments and test of interest done. The same points, whether all that is sanction letter is correctly put in the system, because calculation happen on the system. Calculation don't happen on the physical file, right? So everything has to be fed correctly in the system. Now, coming to the last part, we've got only 2 slides to go, but very interesting slides, core banking system. Now, I've put in as practical as possible, because theoretically I didn't want to, it doesn't serve any purpose for anybody for theoretical. So there are, for me, or for generally, there are 3 main CBS softwares in the industry today. One is developed by Infosys, which is called the Finacle. which is there are lots of banks operating it, but I've just put in 3 banks names. One is Bank of Baroda, Bank of India, Union Bank of India. So these are the 3 banks and multiple banks which use this software Finacle of the Infosys. Second, Bank CS24, which is the TCS developed software used by State Bank of India, Bank of Maharashtra, Central Bank of India, and also multiple banks are there, but I've taken the major ones. And the third one is FlexCube, developed by Oracle, is used by Canara Bank, Yes Bank, and some more few banks. So this is the 3 softwares, as you see, the entire banking operations operate on. So for example, what do I mean is SBI Band CS is there. You go to any branch across the country, across the world, everywhere, to do any operation, Band CS is used. And this is all an integrated system. Like I've covered in that, it works on a concept of centralized database. Like for example, you pass an entry sitting in the branch of Pune, say all across the world, whoever has got a system access. So it is centralized. It is completely centralized system that is there in place. Second, transaction take place at various geographical locations which get recorded and processed at a centralized server. Like I told you, anywhere anything entry happens and वहां पे दिख जाती है. Third, updation of database is on real time. Real time is you pass an entry at that specific moment. There is no lag. Specific moment everywhere across the world. Whoever is using SBI's Ban CS software can see that entry. Now, this is a little practical. What I mean to say, as an auditor, when you go to see, separate auditor login ID is created by the branch and given to us, which has only read-only access. So read-only access is there. Separate login ID is created. Obviously, tomorrow our auditor access is given. You don't know exactly how it works, right? You know how it works, but not in depth. Tomorrow, गलती से तुमसे एक entry pass हो गई. If it is a read and write access, gone. Everything is gone. So that is why they don't take that chance. They give you only read-only access. They don't give you a change or a write access, and which is fair enough for us. We don't have to worry on that. Now, critical to understand the basic navigation through CBS to check. These are 3 things for which CBS generally is required. One, individual loan account master data and transaction. So ledger, as you see in your Tally or any other software you might be comfortable with, you see your ledgers and everything. Similar way, to check individual loan account master data and transaction, you need to understand basic navigation. GL and their transaction, GL in the sense expense ledger or suspense ledger or any other ledgers that you want to see what are the entries that are passed. So this, and third, exception report analysis, interpretation and checking. So any exception report analysis is done. So that you have to check in the system. So you need to know ki kaisa jana hai system, how to navigate and all, because you need to interpret. This exception report is given me this figure, but this figure actually how to check in the system from where it is developed and where it is taken. So these are the 3 major things that is generally used. Generally, an auditor has to know for these 3 purposes. There are multiple purposes, but isse kaam ho jayega tumhara. Now, some of this interesting CBS exception reports I've just covered on the next slide. Again, illustrative list, but very, very interesting. Very interesting that system gives you. You don't have to work on it. System automatically will give you. You have to just put your head ki iska kya karna hai. You have to ask the bank manager why this is coming and whether there is risk in it. Exception report for interest rate variation. Now, difference between product interest rate and effective rate applied. What do I mean by that? I mean by that, actually product, for example, you take a Bank of Maharashtra. Bank of Maharashtra, they have defined their products. All across the country, any product, any manager chooses or any loan who's giving a loan chooses, wo product that much only rate will come if you choose. So you have to just take product wise rate and effective rate applied. Actually, has there been any manual intervention done? If there is done, system will give out an exception report automatically. You have to just check and ask the manager why the system says this rate should have been applied and why have you applied this rate? Has there been any changes or have you done it by any documentation or anything else? So this report, very interesting report to check. Audit zero balance report. Check whether charges debited against this account for not maintaining. Now, many of you might have a zero balance account. That is okay. Some banks put charges that if you keep your minimum balance or zero balance below this, bank has to apply charges. Now, sometimes this happens system by, sometimes this has to be done manually. If it is to be done manually, the bank manager might forget to do it. If he forgets to do, then it's a point for your audit point because he's missed out on revenue, right? So you have to, the system will give you audit zero balance report. You have to check whether charges are debited against this, and in your income head, whether any charges are there for this matter. Again, a very interesting report. Customer SARFAESI report. SARFAESI report is the security asset reconstruction, whatever you call it, the authority for which it is sent to SARFAESI. In case the loan is gone bad, the person is not repaying, nothing he is doing, and bank has to take it, or at the HO level or the branch level, they have to take it to the SARFAESI. So in that case, to check whether any recovery is being done against this and call for details, because system will give you who are the customers that have been gone, the bank has taken to SARFAESI. So you have to check whether any recovery is done, what has been done ahead for these loans. Insurance details not available. System will give you don't have to find out. For this report, system will give you where all insurance details are not fed. Now this is very important because tomorrow something happens to that property, the bank cannot recover anything. So you have to check whether this is higher in value and why insurance is not done. And if it is not done, you have to list down points, qualifying a report for this loan. Behind security, whatever is kept as mortgage, there is no insurance. Irregularity due to interest application, to check the transaction and confirm why the same is reflected. Now this again irregularity, somewhere 8% is charged, somewhere 7.5 is charged. It can happen genuinely, but sometimes manual feeding, they have missed out on putting, instead of 8, they have missed out on putting, they have put 7.5. So all these cases you have to check whether there has been irregularity. If this is there, directly go in front of bank manager, sir, ye dikh raha hai hamare samne, why it is done? Let me know so that I can close the point. If you're not satisfied, you can qualify. List of user report, very important. Check for user rights and if these employees are retired or not. What we have seen is, for every login, every ID is created. So if you pass an entry, your ID is given, who is passed, which employee, what is employee code and everything. Now you will have a list of user reports in which you will figure out that there are some employees which are not there, but still unka active hai. Now, this is a risk. Tomorrow that employee goes somewhere and he has a tie-up with some bank manager and he accesses some data which he is already retired, 2 years back retired on. That is not happen. So this list of users, you should see whether that employees are in role or they have retired or anything. Manual credit interest adjustment. If there are any manual intervention in applying interest, generally this should happen by system. But if there are any manual, system will give you an exception report automatically to tell you whether there have been any manual credit adjustments. So you can check through that and ask the bank manager. If it is genuinely done with documentation, you are okay. You don't have to worry. But if it is not enough, to ask you why this manual interest adjustment was done. Was it necessary? Was it because he was your relative or somebody? You have done it on all those aspects. There can be multiple aspects in that. Now, history of interest rate changes, to check for interest rate changes in line with scheme rates and sanction letter terms. Now, if you see, if it is a floating interest, the sanction letter will say 8%. But as the RBI changes the repo rate or the CRR rate, automatically all the rates change. So in this case, you will have a report which will tell you that loan, how much, what is the interest at various points of time it is charged. Now, if it is a fixed loan and they have done this, it is a problem. You have to confirm directly that this was a fixed interest loan. It has to be fixed as per the sanction letter. Why have you changed it? If it is a flexi, you have to go in depth a little ki actually itna hi hona chahiye tha kya, baki kitna hona hai, and all those details. But you will have a report. System will give you a wonderful report whether it will show you an interest of history of interest rate changes. So on that happens. So these are the overview of the CBS and part. So this is my last slide. So interesting point in lot of is that 14 days of the year where you can do a lot of analysis and a lot of responsibilities put on us. But you have to be very careful as to check in detail, talk, don't forget to talk in your reports, in your qualification, in your remarks, talk and deal with the talk with the managers, take out information from it. But it's very interesting, and I'm sure these points are going to help you tremendously. And there are much more points in detail, but I'm sure tomorrow's session also the speaker will cover a lot more in detail. But I think I've made justice to my points. You can, if there is any points or anything queries there, you can email me or you can WhatsApp me as well. I'm active on my email ID. I'll reply very immediately to whatever queries is there. You can also follow me on Twitter and LinkedIn. I'm also active pretty much there with some educational insights and some stuff that are relevant there. So that is from me, and I thank the branch again. I think they're doing a wonderful job. I mean, coordinating with the other branches and putting up a session for the students. I think this is very qualitative and very much needed of the hour, because students should not be in a way where they're going to the bank audit and they're blank. It creates pressure on the principal, it creates pressure on the firm, and it reduces the audit quality. And that is not something that we as professionals require. So this is wonderful. I again thank CA Vaibhav Modi, who's been wonderful in cooperating the Vikasa chairman and other committee members and the branch chairman of the branch, and also Manisha ma'am, because she's been coordinating beautifully with me. And thank you so much. I think I've done justice to this, and thank you so much. If there's anything, you can mail and WhatsApp me. Thank you so much again.
Thank you, Sujanji. This session was actually special kept only for the student, because we could have members and students also. But
Right.
what happens, students has a first year article, second year article, they don't know any background of these things, bank audit.
Right.
And then that sectional sessions got in a very deep in technical one.
Right.
So you have touched all the points which is much needed. And Siddhan.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Now I would request Mr.
Siddhan, before concluding it, let's have a conversation with the students. Let them ask any questions if they want to ask.
Sure. If you have any queries, you can raise your hand.
It can be basic, it can be advanced. CA Vaibhav Modi ji also can revert back, reply to those queries. Anything, because it's an open forum. As I said, we are all learning. We are all learning to do it. Let's put up, if anything is got, let's not be shy enough in asking queries, because everybody's learning. I am learning. I'm sure Vaibhav Modi is also learning, and everybody's learning here. So if there's anything, I will really glad to reply to this. Basic, advanced, कुछ नहीं फर्क पड़ता है यार. अपनी branch का है and अपना ही session है. Nobody gives a thing about it.
Anyone has any question, they can ask it.
So I had a query about the quick mortality cases. If you can tell about it once again.
Can you just repeat? Your voice is coming a little low.
Sir, I have a query about the quick mortality cases. If you can tell about it.
Okay. Now, quick mortality, generally what happens is, say for example, you put yourself in the shoes of the bank manager, and you have a person has come to you for a loan, right, on the 1st of May. Okay, 1st of May 2021. Now you have seen his all documentation, everything, and bank manager says, "ठीक है, इसको loan देना okay है." Now you give the loan, right? You give it. You say you sanction a loan of 50 lakhs for a house loan. Now you have sanctioned it. It's a loan for 15 years. Now generally every EMI is say 30,000 EMI hai, and it goes on. Now 1st May, he repays his installment of 1st June, 1st July, 1st August. Very good. He does it regularly, everything. 1st September, he misses his installment. He does not pay you. 1st October, he does not pay you. 1st November, he does not pay you. Now, the bank starts thinking, now this is a loan that I've given recently. It is a 15-year loan, right? Because I've seen documents as recent as now, there should be nothing that changes so fast. ठीक है, 5 साल बाद his financial condition changes, his income goes, everything goes. तभी I can understand something happens. But 3 months में ऐसा क्या change होगा कि he cannot repay 30,000, because I have checked his documents, I have checked everything and given him loan. So that goes as a higher risk, because if he's gone as a non-performing or not repaying so early, what he will do in the next 10-15 years. So that is why as an auditor, you should check for this loan immediately, which have sanctioned in the same year and also gone into the risk portion, because it is a very high risk. If he is gone in 3 months, I'm sure he will not repay after 10 years also, because his condition is gone bad now only. So your recoverability of 50 lakhs will not come back. So that's a high risk there. So that is a quick mortality case, whereas you can identify very easily from the software or from the data as to which has gone in lookups or in linkage with the NPA data, as to what is the quick mortality. But you have to take it and check documentation very clearly for that, because it's a very high risk kind of area.
Anyone else want to ask any query? You can raise hand. I think there are no queries as of now, sir. So now I will invite CA Shreya Saha, Vikasa Chairman, Vikasa Sangli, WIRC, to give a vote of thanks.
Yes, sir. Thank you. First of all, very thanks to Sushant sir for conducting such a very good
Thank you, sir.
training session for students in which you have started very briefly that students first of all go through the guidance notes issued by the ICA and other RBI circulars. Then students should go for the audit. Otherwise, what happens is चलो सर ने कहा है ऑडिट के लिए जाना है जाते हैं, निकल पड़ते 1 तारीख को, तो उसके पहले थोड़ा गाइडेंस नोट्स वगैरह सब पढ़ना चाहिए. Then very thanks to the Pimpri branch and Modi sir for arranging such a nice training session for students, because what happens is सब ब्रांचेस सारे मेंबर्स के लिए सब सेमिनार्स वगैरह अरेंज करते हैं बैंक ऑडिट के लिए, लेकिन एग्जैक्टली आर्टिकल स्टूडेंट स्टाफ के लिए कोई नहीं करता. सो वेरी थैंक्स टू पिंपरी ब्रांच आल्सो. थैंक यू सर. थैंक्स अ लॉट.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Now I will request the audience and the panelists to leave. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
Sushant sir. You have given such a wonderful sessions, and the way you have started the pre-plan, pre-audit, post-audit, and all these things, it was actually a much needed way of doing the audit. And from the point of view of the audience, it was a wonderful slide, I think so, because you have covered all the dots into this.
Yes.
And definitely this video is on YouTube also, and boss also, board of studies, we have registration from there also, so not everyone is on the Zoom, but they will definitely get benefit out of this. Thank you so much.